All right, in this video, we're going to compare and contrast two different styles of dimensioning. So in one style, pretty much all the dimensions are from the datum edge, and then in one style, all the dimensions are more or less constraints. And hopefully this will show you what and why certain styles are preferred and used. So let's just get right down to it. This is the very first version that we did in our series, video number 13, pipe flange block. You guys all did this, and we're going to go in and edit it. Now, since then, your video number 28 was the correct one. No, 28 was you dimensioning a donut. The next one after that, which is 13B, is what we labeled it. We made the exact same part using different dimensioning techniques. In this video, we're going to compare and contrast editing this part versus editing 13B. So if you're following along from outside the classroom, I will post links to the public documents that you can download and follow along with us. If you're inside the classroom, you should have copies of these files already. So pull up the very first version we did of this pipe flange, spacer, block, gasket, whatever we want to call this. And let's say that we've received word from another department that another part's changed, and maybe this is a gasket, and maybe the cylinder is going to be bored out bigger, maybe the head of this one cylinder engine is going to be enlarged, or something's going to happen, and so we have to go in and change it. And maybe the first change is we need bigger through bolts. So let's just go in and edit the bolt diameters. Now this we actually did correctly the first time. If we had gone through and not made everything equal, see these equal constraints, I check show constraints, and if I hold my mouse over, it'll show me. If I had not done that, then we needed to change this to 0.3. That would have meant that I was doing what you just saw repeated here, here, and here. It's at least 4 extra clicks. So that's one thing we did right. Now, let's talk about maybe the hole locations need to change. So let's go back into that sketch, and let's say that we want this to not be 0.3 anymore, but maybe just 0.4. Okay, see what we have to do now? We have to go through and change every single one of these 0.3s, make everything 0.4. In a classroom, I want you to go through the process of doing this. Okay. The other thing that's different is, let's say we want to make this rectangle bigger, or this square bigger. We are going to go 3, and then see how it just makes it a rectangle. Now I got to come up here and enter 3, so make it a 3 by 3. Okay, and also notice that when we did that, our middle hole is not centered anymore. Okay, it is off center. So now we got to go back into our full sketch, and we have to change this from 1 to what is half of 3, 1.5, enter that. Oh, and we got one more dimension here to do as well, 1.5, and enter that. Now all this seems relatively easy. You're just clicking and following along, but remember that I'm doing a lot of mental work for you already. So the whole just 1.5, the whole 3 by 3, and step by step. If this was without guidance, you would go to change that 3, and then you would have at least a few moments of mental resistance to the fact that your square just turned into a rectangle, and you'd be problem solving that. So keep in mind that all these extra clicks right now are just a few extra seconds because you're following along. You got somebody really guiding you through this. He was trying to make the video relatively quick. But this was you in complete control of your own situation. You wouldn't be as prepared as I am for this, and you'd be fumbling over a lot of this stuff, getting frustrated pretty quickly. So you'll see that comparison in our next in this next part of this video, where we'll pull up the other block and make the same edits. You'll see how much quicker it is. Anyways, we fixed that hole location. It's back into the center. Let's say we want to go ahead and make the thickness of this part bigger. So let's say we want to go ahead and make it 2 inches. I'm gonna give it a depth. Okay, and just hit check. What did I do wrong there? Oh, that's the extrude remove. I'm sorry. Let's pull these back because this is going to show you my next point. Right now our holes are going all the way through. They're just a blind hole going through. I extruded the wrong extrude. Let's make this 2 inches and hit check. And notice our holes stop. All right, so this is another thing. If you know your part is going to have through holes, it's a gasket or it's a spacer block, that it wouldn't work without a bolt pattern of sorts, then go ahead and make sure your holes are selected as through all. And then you're good to go. So that's one way to do this. Now I'll undo all these changes so that if you are downloading the file, it'll be back to its original state. But I want to show you how quickly we can do that with our other file. So let me just go back to my Onshape here and retrieve version number 2. You have to bear with me. Hopefully I can remember all the changes we made. All right. So let's just go into our sketch 1 here. The first thing I'm going to do is I've already got, here I am talking about how this one's going to be much better, but I just realized the mistake I made. Let's make this, let's set an equal constraint between this and this. Now, if you don't know if your part's always going to be a square, then you might not do this. But this is just an example of one dimension. See how it turned black? Because it knows it has to be equal to that. So if we want to make this 3 by 3, all we have to do is hit 3, hit check, and we should be good to go. Now, everything stayed centered there. We did this in video 13B. So let me undo that and get back to where we started. If you notice our sketch work, not this sketch, but on this sketch, okay, instead of referencing our dimensions from our edge, we referenced a rectangle, a center point, and turned it into a construction line. All right, here's what that does for us. Let's go back. We're going to make this, let's say we don't even have our equal constraint established. And we make one of these 3. What do you think will happen to that hole? Will it be the same as it was, still centered? So we got some room for modification and it's much easier. So again, I'm going to go ahead and delete this dimension, make this equal to this, and we're good to go. All right, now we need to move these, okay, from point 4 away from the edge like we did in the other video. Now to do that, we can come in to our sketch, and instead of doing each click around each hole, all we have to do is take 3 minus 0.4 times 2, because you need 0.4 on this side, 0.4 on this side, so minus 0.8, and you're going to get 2.2. Okay, see how it just blew all that up, because what I done is I set this line equal to this line. Everything is still black. Now our holes, where we change those to 0.3, we're good to go. This hole has stayed in the middle the whole time. You want to know why? So when I built it, we built it in video 13B. If you didn't do that video, go back and redo it, or do it. We made it that hole, we didn't dimension it from the edge. We made it coincident with the origin, which this rectangle is a center point rectangle, coincident with the origin. This rectangle is a center point rectangle, coincident with the origin. All right, let's try thickness. We want to make it thicker. Okay, notice our holes are through all. So if we come up back to our extrude 1, we can make it 2 inches and we're good to go. The other thing you'll notice that's different about this one is the extrude is done with the symmetric command instead of just blind. Okay, see the difference? Typically, this symmetric will be more useful in your work because it puts the origin right in the middle of your part. So now there you have it. Something to save you a little bit of time and offer you a comparison. Hopefully that helps, but if not, just comment with questions, troll me up, whatever you need to do, and will respond. Anyways, that'll do it.